So, well, there's a couple things going on today actually. So yesterday, the guy brought his lawnmower over, his riding mower over. It's a 1980 something John Deere, and there's no parts for it. I mean, I keep telling the guy that he needs to just buy a used one, you know, one that doesn't run for $100 somewhere, and they're all over Facebook Marketplace, and that way he'll have parts in the event that he needs to replace something. What happened was his spindle, the bolt that holds the blade on, sheared off. Now, I guess a while back he came over and asked if I had another bolt. I don't remember that conversation, but he said he did, but I didn't have one. So and it sounds like something I would do. I sent him off to the John Deere dealer, and he got the bolt and realized that he wasn't going to be able to fix it because it was sheared off. So he called me, said, "Can you fix it?" I said, "Well, we could probably replace it. I mean, I can fix it, assuming I don't have to heat it up, or, you know, it could be a lot of problems. Who knows? You never know what you're going to run into. Or you can buy a new spindle." He said, "Yeah, that's a good idea." Well, the OEM spindle was $800 some odd dollars. And I was going to go on Amazon. And well, I did go on Amazon. They had two different ones. They had an aftermarket that didn't look anything like it. So I assumed they redesigned it. The aftermarket did. And then they have one that did have one. And it was $79, and I thought, you know, that's pretty expensive for something I'm not really sure is going to fit. I can return it, but I really didn't feel good about it. So I took the spindle off, which was a pain because the bolts that they put through it were rounded. Okay, so it's just a round top. It's not hexed like that. And then they have four little squares underneath that round top. Well, those four squares had rounded off. So I had to weld the bolt onto the spindle so I could take the nut off on the bottom, because I couldn't get it off. So I had to weld all three of those. Well, I ground one and realized, you know, I probably could weld it to be better. So I welded the two of them, ground that one off, got spindle off. Well, of course, you know, the sheared bolt was right there in the center of the spindle, and it was in there pretty deep. It sheared off pretty deep. So what I did was I took a smaller bolt and I welded it onto the remaining bolt inside the spindle. So I have it right here. For those who've never seen this done before, I'm sure a lot of you have. So this is the piece that was stuck in the spindle. So I welded, try to get in the camera here, I welded this smaller bolt onto it. And you had to be real careful that you didn't weld the threads of the spindle, or, you know, and actually make it stick even worse. So did it on the first shot, and it came right out with an 8mm ratchet, socket ratchet. So make quite a bit of money on that. That was all profit. And, you know, I don't know why he insisted he wants this John Deere. It's old. I had to replace a carburetor on it earlier this year, and then it just leaks oil like a sieve. I mean, it's terrible. So so like in the springtime I put oil in it. Well, I know for at least a month at least he hasn't drove it, because that spindle had a sheared bolt in it. So but it was a good pint low on oil. It was really low, and I know he's not going to check it, so he'll burn it up eventually. I mean, if he was checking it, he wouldn't have brought it over with low oil. So I had to put oil in it. I Loctite all the bolts to all three spindles, that way they won't come out. Then today a part came in. It wasn't supposed to come in until tomorrow for this weed eater. And so I bought this housing for the weed eater. And what had happened was the pull rope on the weed eater came out and wouldn't go back in. Well, when I tried to put it back in, it just broke again. So this is not an easy process. So I'll tell you what I ended up doing. I ended up fixing this one because the part they sold me was the wrong part. That is an OEM part that I had in my hand just a minute ago. It's not aftermarket. They don't sell this anymore, and they don't tell you that. So I had to buy it from the manufacturer, and the return, you know, they want restocking fees. Of course, you're still out the shipping cost. So it's the wrong one, doesn't fit. So I had to fix this one. Well, the problem is there's a retaining ring on these that pop off really easy. So what this is this is a, what do they call it? I don't know, pull assist or something. And it's a terrible design. Let's see if we can get it focused in here. So you have one spring, like everything you ever have a pull rope on has this spindle here. That's usually all it has. But this one has a second spindle that I can turn right here. So what it is you're supposed to pull this one, and then this one, let's see if I can hold it. See that? So what it does is you're winding the spring on this second sprocket here. And then when it releases, it's supposed to start the engine for you. The problem is if you pull this too hard, it pops this ring off right here. Terrible design. I mean, I've had several of them now. That ring pops off. Some of them, it actually breaks the red plastic there. So fortunately, that just broke off. Well, the problem is the spring. It's a nightmare. The spring is an absolute nightmare. If you've ever had to put one together, you have to wind the spring back up and get it into the little spot that you're going to hold it on. It's terrible. So I had to do that, and of course it came loose on me one time, so I'd do it over. So that's why I bought the new one, was because, I mean, it was pretty cheap. It was only 30 bucks with shipping, 35 bucks with shipping, something like that. So no, it was 40 bucks with shipping. That's what it was. I apologize. So I thought, well, I'll just go buy it. But then when I got here, it was the wrong one. So that means I had to fix this one. The problem is that piece, the clip, just keeps popping out. So I smashed it down the best I could and got it in there real tight. Now, in order to do this, you have to take the bar off. So you take this off, and underneath this you have your clutch assembly. It's two pieces. So you got to take the clutch off, and then you got to take, well, you got to take the piece that the clutch goes into, the spindle, and then what's it behind that? Oh, then you have the housing. So you take the housing off, and now remember, when you take this off, you have all this you got to deal with right here. So that's all in there. So you got to take this off, the handle, the throttle, which is terrible. I mean, there's like 4 pieces in there you got to hold all at the same time when you put it back together. So then you take the housing, you have to take the back off here, and you have to take the housing off. So now the engine is completely exposed. The engine is just dangling out there. The reason they do this, I think, is so it discourages mechanics from actually working on these. It is so much work that people are like, nah, I ain't doing that. So I won't make much money on this. Obviously, you know, I got that part that I already bought that I'm not going to be able to charge for. So I'll hang on to that in case I ever get a weed eater that has that part and it needs replaced, because these need replaced all the time. These are terrible. So anyway, I got it all put together, and I went to pull it, and I pulled it too hard, popped that ring off. So I had to take it all apart again and do it over again. So now it's working. But I had this laying around, this right here. What this is a drill start. You can use a drill. You stick it right here. It's called electrical start. Take your drill, you can turn it, fires right up. So I'm going to give him that. I'm going to recommend that he uses that, because I mean, he's a big guy, and he's just pulling it too hard. And he's just going to break it again. These are really designed for older folks who don't have the strength to pull anymore. Because it's just too easy to pop that out. You see it on YouTube all the time. Everybody is trying to fix these. And what they're wanting you to do is just buy a new one. So, now, the question is should I have even worked on it in the first place? Well, times are pretty slow right now, so I won't make much money on it. Won't hardly make anything on it. Well, if I don't ever sell this, I'll lose money. But I'll be able to sell that, so I'm not worried about it. You know, I told you I was going to raise my prices $15. So I did that. I raised my prices on the John Deere. But on the weed eater, I'm going to leave it like I had it this year. Same price. Because it's just too easy to go buy another weed eater. You know, you start charging a lot of money, they'll just go buy another one. Well, right now I don't have any work. So I was able to spend all day on that. And it made me aggravated, don't get me wrong. I would have rather gotten it on the first try. But I ended up doing it 3 times, I think. No, 2 times. Taking apart, I mean, that spring itself I had to do 3 times. So, but it's aggravating. And I was about ready to give up on it. And Carolyn said, no, just take it apart again. What else are you going to do? You don't have anything else to do, and you'll make a little bit of money. At least we'll pay for a piece of that. Well, I guess we'll break even. It's going to be about break even with this. So, and the thing is he's a good customer. He had these 2 push mowers. He came and picked them up this morning. He's brought over chainsaws and I guess 3 chainsaws. And his father has brought a ton of stuff over. A riding mower, snow blower, and 2 leaf blowers. And the leaf blowers didn't need any work to them. He just wanted them serviced. So I would rather do a little extra work for folks that are going to keep coming back. And even though, like I said, I'm not going to lose any money. I won't make anything, but I'm going to be able to keep the customer happy. He's not going to go out and spend a fortune on a new weed eater, which may mean that he has more money in the future to bring another piece of equipment over. You know, if he had to spend $150 to go buy that, you know, over time he can give me the $150. So, and the interesting thing is he's buying used equipment now. He used to buy new, but that he had a Cub Cadet push mower or walk behind, and he bought that used. And he said he knew it wasn't running right. He figured I could fix it pretty cheap, so he bought it used and let me put money into it. And he probably still came out ahead doing that. So, you know, these people get on Facebook, I wouldn't touch that. That's a waste of my time. Okay, what are you doing with your time? Well, I'd rather sit on the couch than do that. But, you know, I enjoy doing this stuff. Although I was frustrated with the weed eater. I do not like this design at all. But sometimes you just gotta take the good with the bad, or the bad with the good. So I worked on it, and I'm glad Carolyn said, hey, no, you're gonna work on it. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. So I guess I'm gonna jump off of here. So if you'll click the up next box to take you to a video, or I was working on something on my other channel, really appreciate it. Go check it out. So hope I can inspire you to work it free, I guess, just so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.